Hello and welcome to Gangs All Here. My name is Ryan Sampson. That's my guy Frankie Vittoriti from U Stadium. The Jets are entering the bye week at 1-7, getting their first win of the season, Frankie, against the Cincinnati Bengals. A really miraculous win. We're here to talk about this Jets team heading into the bye week, where they're at currently. How do we view them? What did we get right? What did we get wrong about this team before the season? We're pretty much going to talk about how they're going to approach this deadline. We'll talk to our guy Kaz here in a sec about his thoughts about this Jets team and the trade deadline. They already traded Michael Carter. We'll get that analysis as well. Stick around here for Gangs All Here. And we're here with our Jets beat writer from the New York Post, Brian Costello. As always, it's the bye week. The Jets are 1-7. Kaz, how are you feeling? How's it going right now for you on this bye week?
Well, Ryan, after this podcast, then I'll be on my bye week. So it'll be no offense to you and Frankie, but it's gonna be a little bit better in a little, when we're finished this.
Oh man, we're that bad for you?
Well, it's work. I'm like you guys talking about the Jets is work for me. So I will be tuning out of the Jets after we're done with this for a few days.
Anything fun for the weekend, the long weekend, Kaz? Doing anything unique?
No, nothing. My son is running in the New Jersey Cross Country State Championship Saturday, so I'm excited about that.
That's cool. That's awesome.
That's my exciting plan right now.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I hear you. This team it provides a lot of content for us as always, and I know that this is not a busy week because they're not playing a game, but there is still some storylines to talk about with this team as they are in this bye week at 1-7. Look. Since I last spoke to you, I'd asked you about the trade deadline, and it turns out they made some moves. Obviously, yesterday, the Michael Carter trade, I want to start there. They did end up moving him, and we saw the writing on the wall after the Jarvis Brownlee trade for the Jets during the season. So I just want to get your takeaways on the Michael Carter side of this trade and why it made sense for the Jets to part with him now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty clear he wasn't part of the plan going forward. They made the trade for Brownlee with replacing Carter in mind, and then Brownlee comes in and plays really well. So, Carter's number is pretty big for next year. I think they were going to cut him in the offseason if they had held on to him. So they just spun him off in a trade, get something back for him. I think, it makes sense. The only downside to me is you're a little thinner now in the secondary, and I'm not sure, if Brownlee gets hurt or something. I guess Isaiah Oliver is the slot, and that Michael Carter probably be a better option than that. But that's a risk we're probably worth taking for the Jets.
Yeah, Kaz, what I do like about the trade is we recouped that 6th-round pick that was involved in the Harrison Phillips deal. So we bring that back in terms of that move up there from a 7th.
6th-round picks are important, Frankie.
Hey, I had a lot of quarterbacks I liked in this draft going the 6th round. No, but, to me, I know a lot of Jet fans are talking about John Mechie. That's a receiver that I'm seeing some accounts saying, oh, we got our new wide receiver too, everybody. I actually think you might have tweeted that, Ryan. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But is there anything that they've said or you've heard that is interesting about John Mechie coming here?
No, I mean, I think he's interesting. He's just an interesting guy because he was a 2nd-round pick, and obviously he had the illness that wiped out his first season. So, I think he's a guy worth taking a flyer on. There's talent there. We saw what he did at Alabama. He was good enough to be a 2nd-round pick. So that's the kind of guy you take a flyer on and see if you can get something out of. I wouldn't have high expectations. He hasn't done much in Philadelphia this year, but with the state of the Jets wide receiving core, he's going to get some chances here. I think so. It's worth a shot.
It is worth a shot. All things considered, Tyler Johnson, Williams, Lazard, none of these guys
Tyler Johnson's played pretty well. I'm going to stick up for Tyler Johnson. He's done a pretty good job.
Okay.
Look, I mean, he's been productive. He's good. He's been pretty good. So, he's not great. Shouldn't be wide receiver 2, or I guess he was 1 last week. But he hasn't been that bad.
Okay. He hasn't been that bad, but I will say this. The state of the Jets wide receiver core needed more talent. For sure. Hopefully Mechie can provide a little more talent for them the rest of this year. He is a restricted free agent, Kaz, at the end of the year. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, because his first year his first year he didn't accrue because he didn't play. So yeah, he's a restricted free agent in 26.
Yeah, so look, I mean, I'm not expecting him to do much. I mean, I made a sarcastic remark about the Jets wide receiver too that they just got, but like,
Yeah.
it talks about more about the state of this wide receiver core that we had, and I had gone back, cuz, and looked at our season preview episode, and that was like the first thing we hammered on is this Jets wide receiver room because they didn't get a wide receiver 2 in the offseason. So, look, adding another body in the room, I don't think it hurts, and we'll see if they can find some diamond in the rough here, or
Yeah,
you know,
no, I think it's a good throw-in.
Yeah.
I think it's a throw-in, and it's a good one. It's worth a roll of the dice here for the Jets.
So look, this will get me eventually to our next segment, but I do want to finalize with the Michael Carter Brownlee part here. So Brownlee was brought in, and he's played pretty well now since he's come to the Jets.
Yeah.
That seems like, and I heard you talk about this, seems like an Aaron Glenn type of player. Aggressive, hard after the ball, clearly has no problem showing his emotion on the field and even off the field as well. Are the Jets making the right move going with Aaron Glenn's type of guys here and fully backing and believing and like, we want to bring your system players here?
Yeah, they better. I mean, they hired the guy as the coach. They better get his guys in here. He's the guy. Aaron Glenn, everything revolves around Aaron Glenn in the Jets universe right now. So they need to get his guys in here. And I think that's going to be a big focus this offseason. I think beyond just, we need to get better at this position or this position, it's going to be, can they get guys in here that are going to be Aaron Glenn type players and are going to deliver his message? I'm not sure they did a great job of that this offseason. So, and Brownlee, like I've said before, I don't think I was the only one. The game against Denver, you watched him, you're like, oh, this guy looks a little different, right? Like he plays a little different. I think Quincy plays like that, but the rest of the defense not quite as aggressive and just fast and just moving around, like just emotional, like you said. So I think they need to get more guys like that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm interested to see if Brownlee can stick around. He's going to be playing for a contract. I know he's under control for what, another year after
he's in
this?
his rookie deal still.
His
yeah,
rookie's deal.
He's got a few years left.
He's got a few years left, so I think they're hopefully that he can build and put part of that nucleus that the Jets are trying to make with Stevens and Sauce and now Brownlee. It's a pretty solid cornerback room, you would say. This is going to transition me to the gang sounds off. Aaron Glenn was asked by you, Kaz, before the bye week started, how is this Jets team going to approach the trade deadline? Here's what Coach Glenn said.
I would say this. No, I can't say that because that's what Parcells told me. But listen, everybody listens. That doesn't mean that you act on anything. When someone calls, you listen. But action speaks louder than words. So I would just put it like that. Because if someone wants to trade for you, I'm trading you. Trust me. No, I got to keep you around. I got to keep you around too, man.
Well, we're not trading you, Kaz, and I'm glad that Glenn's not going to trade you either.
2 ones for Kaz?
2 ones?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll think about it. No, look. They already traded Carter, and now it's about what do they do the rest of this roster and how do they attack this deadline. Is it of your opinion that they should be major sellers, meaning Breece, Quinnen, Quincy? You're taking calls on all these guys, and you're like, you know what? We really don't know if we should keep these guys around, and these aren't our players, and we should really be drafting, like building that stockpile of picks for the future. What is your sense on how this Jets team is going to approach the deadline?
No, I think what Glenn was saying there basically is you listen, but it's got to be the right offer to move guys. And, Michael Carter was a spare part at this point, right? He's a backup. So they moved off of him. But when the players you're talking about, I think you'd have to have a really strong offer to move those guys. I don't think this isn't baseball and you just trade guys away and call guys up from AAA. Like they have a season to play still. They have 9 games left. I think they're hopeful that they can be competitive in 2026, and you're going to need some of these players to do that. Like this was not a full tear down rebuild job by Aaron Glenn, right? Though I know they're 1-7, but I don't think any of us expected that because we thought the roster was better. So this isn't a situation where, the 2019, they traded away a lot of players. Leonard Williams was the headliner, but then they traded a bunch of other guys because that sort of felt like, okay, they got to tear this down and just start over. And you knew Joe Douglas had to just load up on draft picks. I don't get the sense that's where they are right now. I think it's going to be about value. Like Quincy Williams is the interesting one to me because he's going to be 30 years old next season. You just paid Jamie and Sherwood a lot of money. I don't think you're investing in a linebacker, a second linebacker. So I think Quincy's probably going to walk in the offseason. So do you try to spin him just for something right now? And do you feel good about Kiko and the way he played when Quincy was out and feel like you can replace him? So he's the one to me that's kind of the one to watch now. The other big names, I'd be surprised if they moved. I mean, Breece, I know Breece is the one we talked about a ton. And the part you asked Ryan about like their guys, we don't know. None of us know. Like, do they think Breece is one of their guys? Do they not? Do they think they might franchise tag him? I mean, it's a big chunk of money. Do they think they could re-sign him to an extension in the offseason? These are answers we don't know, and so it's a big part of the equation here. And how much money they going to spend in free agency? Do they think they could get comp picks? A comp pick if he left. But to me, I don't think anyone's going anywhere in the Breece, Quinnen. Who else have we talked about? That category. Quincy's an interesting one. Will McDonald. I don't know if we've talked about Will. He's an interesting one to me because I don't feel like he fits their defense. He's got 3 sacks. He comes off the field an awful lot, which leads to your favorite player, Michael Clemens being out there. Brandon McGregor's been out there a lot. So like I'm just reading the tea leaves. Do they like him? Do they feel like they had bigger defensive ends in Detroit, Glenn? They had 270, 280. Will's like a 235 guy, 240. So do you look at him and he's under control for another 2 years, I think, if you pick up his option. Yeah. So would a team give you a second round pick for Will McDonald?
There's talent.
Pass rush
there.
is hard to find.
Yeah,
and talent, and pass rush is hard to find. So like, do you do that? Those are kind of the 2 guys I have my eye on.
Something I want to bring up to you guys that I looked into. With Breece Hall specifically, the transition tag, if you look into it, it's a bit more interesting, I think, for Breece. Basically allowing him to go out there, seek other offers. You're not putting a 2 first-round pick price tag on him. And if he ends up staying here, you're paying him in that top 10 average versus that top 5. Sort of what teams are looking at doing in terms of trying to keep their players around, but in good faith, allowing them to go out and see what their market is. I think if the Jets get to a point where they can extend Breece, I think that makes probably more sense for both sides than, let's say non-exclusive franchise tagging him, and then you're basically, putting a gun to his head saying you're either going to play here or you're not going to be able to go anywhere, because there's no team that would give us 2 first-round picks if they take your match sheet or if they take your offer sheet and we don't match. But Kaz, with that being said, does Aaron Glenn have final say on any trade or any move here? I mean, like, I know people assume that, but if Darren Muji wants to do a deal, do you think, as long as, Glenn's got to give the blessing, right?
So this is Aaron Glenn's show. Yeah,
okay.
He has all the power. Remember, don't ever forget at the introductory press conference what Woody Johnson called Darren Muji. Called him the sidekick. Aaron Glenn and his sidekick.
That's what Ryan calls me.
That's all you need to know. Well, look, all you need to know, right?
It is all you need to know, because you're like.
I think Muji can do stuff like the small moves and stuff, and he's the one working the phones. But I do think everything goes through Aaron Glenn. He has to approve everything.
So you talked about Breece, and you're like, I don't think it makes sense, like, why they would trade him, because it's Isaiah Davis, and then who else after that, and you'd be making yourself remarkably thin if you did trade with Breece. And not to mention, you are trading him in season, and I don't know what the value could be in return for Breece Hall. But we've seen the talent that Breece...
But that's the question, right? Like, you can, if you could give me some crazy value, yeah, I'm moving Breece. But
would a third-round pick do it for you?
No. So I don't think so. I don't think I would. He's a good player, man. Like, He's a good player. And Aaron Glenn has said it a bunch of times. He wants to keep the good players on the team. And you see what Detroit, obviously they did it yesterday with Hutchinson, and they've re-signed a lot of guys. Obviously they were winning, so but I don't know. Breece to me, like, he's a good player. And I think I get it. Everyone's kind of on that bandwagon after Cincinnati, but I think if you go back, I've been pretty consistent with all the like Braylon Allen talk was going on. Like, Breece is the guy. So I don't know. I would hold on to him unless I was blown away, I guess.
Yeah, I was president of the Braylon Allen fan club in the offseason.
You were.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Breeze does look great, and the upside there with Tanner Engstrand, I think, is just gonna keep rising as we go through the season. That offensive line looked really, really good against Cincinnati. I know Cincy's D line's one of the worst in football,
Yeah, it
but
wasn't good.
but yeah, that offensive line.
That's the hard part of that whole evaluation of offense is Cincinnati's defense was as bad as could be. So it's going to be interesting when they play Cleveland in a couple weeks.
Oh boy,
Myles Garrett.
Hey, listen, we got some good tackles. I don't know if Garrett.
They're gonna have another tough task to handle Myles Garrett.
Oh yeah, we'll see how good they really are.
We saw Will Campbell
but...
tried to handle him too. So I mean,
yeah, that's.
Well, I talked to Olu briefly the other day, and I mentioned it, and he seems excited. Like Olu's a kind of just a happy-go-lucky guy. So, but he was pretty excited. But I asked him, I'm like, you ever seen him? Olu, you ever seen Myles Garrett in person? And he was like, no. And I remember when the Jets played the Hall of Fame game a few years ago. Remember that? They played the Browns at the Hall of Fame game in the preseason. So Garrett didn't play, but we were like in this like makeshift. They don't really have like press conference rooms there. So we were in like this makeshift area, and the Browns players were like leaving right behind where we were. And I saw Garrett. Garrett came over and hugged Saleh. And that's the first time I think I've ever seen him like close. And he looks like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, he's a freak.
And I'm in a football locker room 3 days a week. Like, I'm used to seeing large human beings, but he's just built different, man. Like, it's insane. So, but Olu seems excited, so we'll see.
We'll see. I just remember Myles Garrett sacking Justin Fields back in 2021, 4.5 sacks against the Bears. That was one of his best performances I've ever seen.
Remember when he snapped Trevor Siemian in half on that Monday night too?
Yeah, he's a freak. Okay, so you talked about Breece, you talked about Will McDonald, you talked about Quincy. The Quinnen Williams one, I do want to touch back again on real quick.
Yeah.
Look, it's a guy who's had a down year, I would say, so far. Hasn't had the production that you would hope for. Got his big contract a couple of years ago. I know he's got 2 more years left on his deal. I saw Jordan Schultz report yesterday about how the teams are actually interested in Quinnen Williams. I don't know if you believe in that or there's any credible information there, but it does seem like there are teams that are looking for an interior defensive lineman that can generate pass rush. Is Quinnen valued like that? And if the Jets get blown away with an offer again, do you make that move to say, yeah, we kind of have to move off Quinnen and take the deal?
Yeah, I mean, look, Quinnen, I think, is a better player than his production indicates right now. His stats indicate, I should say. Like, he's disruptive. Like, when you watch the film, he's in the backfield a lot. He is disruptive. He's not getting the sacks, but he's back there. Teams respect him, and I have a feeling if you went into the offensive meeting of any team playing the Jets, the first thing they talk about is like, we got to get 4 hands on 95. Like, that's my guess. And, I asked someone about value, and they're like, you're not going to get a first-round pick for him because he doesn't sack the quarterback enough. Like, a first-round pick is going to go to a defensive player who sacks the quarterback, right? That's who you're going to get a first-round pick for. So, would you take a 2 and a 4, something like that? I don't know, maybe. And I mean, the other question is Quinnen himself, right? Like, there's a lot of belief that he's not happy. And look, this is his 7th season, and it's been nothing but crap, as you guys know, for 7 years here for him. And I think that's tough. He doesn't say a lot publicly. So, he's always says the right thing, but he doesn't seem like a very happy guy right now when I've been around him. And there is some belief out there that, maybe he'd want out, and his contract is conducive to being moved too. So, that's the only reason I think Quinnen's watching. But I mean, if you're the Jets, I don't think you can trade him unless you got some crazy offer. He's too good. He's too valuable. And like I said about Aaron Glenn before, I don't think he wants to be shipping good players out of the building.
Kaz, you do get the feeling with Quinnen and maybe some other guys that they're not happy here, or there's a vibe, or maybe it's just because they've been losing. So
right. This is hard. This is hard, Frankie. Right? Because people would hear this and go, "Oh, he wants out." I'm not saying he wants out.
Yeah.
But the last time, I mean, they were 0-7, right? Like there wasn't anyone in the locker room who was really happy, right? And then I feel like the older you get, the more unhappy you get, right? Like, so like if you're a kid and you're in your first or second year in the NFL, like, hey man, you made the NFL. Like you're kind of just excited that you're there, and you really don't, hey, I'm going to turn this team around. I don't know how many guys I've heard, I'm going to be part of the turnaround here. And then you get 4, 5, 6, and for Quinnen, 7 years in, and it's not turning around. And Quinnen's on his third coach. Quinnen's on his third GM. The GM who drafted him got fired a month after he drafted him. He's lived through 2020. He's lived through Aaron Rodgers. He's lived through Zach Wilson. Like all the stuff. Like I talk about the disconnect sometimes between you guys as fans and like Aaron Glenn, who's only been here for 8 months or 9 months, and he doesn't get the pain. Quinnen gets the pain.
Yeah,
because Quinnen's been here for half of the drought, basically. So, like, I don't blame the guy if he's miserable. I don't. And think about all the winning he did at Alabama, and so if Quinnen was to say, "Hey, I really want to go somewhere where I can win," I would get it, and I don't think I'd blame him. I don't think he's going to say that because I just don't think he's going to. I don't know. I don't think he's going to do that. But I do think it's something that people are wondering around the league if he wants out.
And that's why I do want to say this. I mean, I listened to Field Yates yesterday, and I respect Field because I think he's well tuned in and he's got some good opinions. And he said this, and I thought this was interesting. There's a lot of young GMs in the NFL right now, and a lot of them are aggressive in terms of trying to build a roster and get the good players. And like you said, Kaz, if there's a mutual respect for Quinnen Williams and the player and the talent that he is, and look, the GMs are going to negotiate and say, look, he doesn't have the production that we want, but there's still the ability of we can offer maybe if it's a really good team, a late first-round pick or an early second-round pick, depending on what the team is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a point where you have to pull the trigger and trade Quinnen Williams because really this season's going nowhere. And I don't know if next year is going to be really that promising. And I feel like Quinnen, like you said, is a guy been here so long, has gone through it, gone through the pain. He's worth at his highest level right now in terms of I can get my most return. There's no guarantee next year he's going to be a better player. And maybe he isn't the greatest fit for Aaron Glenn's defense. I don't know. I just there's a part of me that wonders, like, could you actually get the most for your return right now or in the offseason for Quinnen?
I think he fits any defense, Ryan. And, like, I think he's a much better player than Jets fans realize. And I think if you, like, just watch him down to down, he is an effort player. He's just I look at a team like the Ravens, right? Who they're kind of a mess, and defensively they haven't been good, and they lost Matabuke, right? He's hurt. Like, would they make a move for Quinnen if they feel like they can make a run here with Lamar back? Obviously, that division's there for the taking. Like, he would make sense there to me. I think he's a really good player, so I'd be careful about letting him leave. What is he 28 years old?
Quinnen is 27. He'll turn 28 in December 21st.
Okay. I still think there's some good years left there, but yeah, it's getting there. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to figure out what the future is going to be with him. His number goes up pretty high soon. I think 2027, maybe the number jumps up. So you probably have to rework that deal at some point, but I'd have to be blown away to trade Quinnen Williams.
Real quick before Frankie, I'll let you follow up on that. I will say this about Quinnen. I hear you, Kaz. I'm like, Jets fans don't understand how good Quinnen Williams is. In terms of production, he has his lowest pressure percentage, his lowest pass rush win rate percentage of his 7-year career heading into this year. In terms of sack production, obviously it's only one. It's not great. We'll see where he ends up at the end of the year. But right now, the way he is playing, it's the worst that he's played since his rookie year. So I wonder
Yeah.
again.
I would wonder. I would ask Ryan, and I'd really have to look at this. I don't know this off the top of my head, but is this the worst defensive line he's played with in terms of Jermaine missed a lot of games, so Jermaine is now back. That's going to help. But like, you're the president of the Michael Clemens fan club. Michael Clemens takes no pressure off of him, right? We talked about Will McDonald. He's been in and out. Braden McGregor's been playing a lot. Like, that's kind of weak. I think Harrison Phillips was a nice pickup, but I'm not sure Harrison Phillips is as good as what they've had here in the past next to Quinnen.
Briggs has played okay,
that,
but he doesn't get so many snaps.
Briggs has played okay, but does Briggs take pressure off of Quinnen?
No.
Like, who is the guy on the defensive line that you say, you know what, we got to double him other than Quinnen? There's no one. So, and like, I do think at times they've had guys like that that drew more attention than these guys are drawn. So I think that's been tough. I think this is probably the worst defensive line he's played on in a while. I obviously I'm going off the top of my head here, and I don't remember who was on the 2020 defensive line.
Yeah.
But in the last few years, this is probably the worst it's been. And so I think that does play a factor in the production, Ryan.
Yeah, I will say this, and I sort of agree with both of you to an extent. I do think Quinnen hasn't had his best season, but I also do see where Kaz is coming from in the sense of also sometimes when you have a pass rusher that's able to really get to the quarterback from the outside, that funnels a lot of stuff on the inside, so it gets those sack numbers up where you look at the D tackle after half a season, you're like, oh, he has 3.5, 4 sacks or 5 sacks. Sometimes even more. That sometimes is a lot of a product of the outside pass rush, which I don't think Quinnen's had really an elite edge pass rusher since he's been here.
Huff's the best edge rusher.
Bryce Huff,
Yeah. By
And I
far.
don't know if you call Bryce elite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think too, like I think he's been he's disruptive in the run game too. Like, he gets back there and not necessarily he's always making a tackle, but he's rerouting things and stuff. Like, I don't know. I just watch him. I think he's a disruptive player. And so I don't know. What would you guys trade him for?
I think if a second round pick came in, I would do it in a heartbeat. First rounder, obviously, that's no question. But it'd have to be more than just the two. It'd have to be multiple picks for Quinnen, in my opinion. If it's a second round pick, it'd be second round pick and then some.
I'm with you.
Just because
Second and a fourth?
Right, the Jets are missing
second and a fourth?
Yeah, I would, because the Jets are missing a third round pick, right, this year. So like, you need more picks this upcoming draft, which goes back to what I was saying with Field Yates, is that this draft upcoming is not a top heavy draft. But it seems like also with the state of college football, it's way different than it's ever been before. Players can stay another year because they're making more money. And the talent just isn't as good as you would think every single year coming out. So that's why it depends on how aggressive GM wants to be, and calling guys like, hey, a proven commodity in Quinnen Williams, I'll trade for that over my first round pick where I have no idea if this guy's actually going to hit.
You made such a good point, Ryan, with the young GM comment that you just brought up about. I think it's changing a little bit in the NFL. So whereas maybe we're not looking at this trade deadline like they do in baseball, these young GMs, they're coming from different backgrounds now. They're trying to be more aggressive. Maybe the league does start becoming a bit more like the NBA and MLB are in terms of trade and player flexibility. We're definitely seeing a trend. I mean,
yeah, it's happening in the offseason for sure.
Definitely.
There's more stuff happening in January, February, March than before. But I'm not sure we've seen it yet mid-season.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's going to be moves, but I'm not sure the big splash move will happen this week. Maybe. No, and like, I'm interested, guys, like the draft pick thing, right? Like what you just said, Ryan, is maybe a GM will look at it and go, I'll take a sure thing in Quinnen over a draft pick, right? But then the flip side is, do the Jets want a draft pick or do they want a sure thing?
I don't know. That's an Aaron Glenn question, Darren Muji question.
I know, and like they're probably. I'm curious with you guys, because you've seen this team, whoever the GM is. Like, the drafts have not been good for a long, long time, right? There's 2022, and then there's hits here and there.
Yeah.
But you guys still seem to want picks. Again, I've started to question like how valuable these picks are, because I've just been watching the Jets so long and they're not hitting on these picks. It's like Frankie, like I made a joke about the 6th round pick. It's like they don't hit on many 6th round picks. Now I
Yeah.
do know, like a team like the Ravens, I do this draft study every year, 5 years. The Ravens are consistently one of the best drafted teams, and because they have the most picks, right? It's not because they're picking, they're necessarily picking better with it's the percentage. They have such a large number of picks. They hit on them. That's been mainly compensatory picks, but I don't know. I struggle with the draft pick thing. I don't know. I don't know which way to go on that.
Will they get a compensatory pick if Quincy Williams walks in free agency?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I don't think Quincy is going to get a huge contract. I also though here's the part. Here's the part when you talk about compensatory picks. How much are the Jets going to spend?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Yep.
biggest variable there.
I don't know. I mean, like, I look at it and go, they have a lot of space. Traditionally, the Jets like every 2 years go on a spending spree. So like, are they going to do that? Now, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Well, isn't this regime going to be smarter than that? Like, and not do what the previous regimes have done, and just go spend huge money on average players, in free agency?" And I'm like, I don't know. It seems to be what happens. So that's the piece. Like, we don't know. Like, when you talk about Breece too, like the compensatory pick, like how much are the Jets going to spend in free agency?
It's a good question by you, Kaz, and also like if Aaron Glenn wants to follow what the Lions are doing. Have you guys seen now that Aiden Hutchinson got signed to an extension? They spent nearly $1 billion on their core guys. Most of those guys were drafted by them. Besides Jared Goff, like most of those guys were drafted by the Lions.
Cool
they
number.
developed them, and then once they said, you know what, these guys are worth keeping and building around, they reward them with these massive contracts. So that goes to your point, Kaz, of like, do you value, you know what, maybe we're just better off drafting a guy than spending all the money in the offseason and trying to fill the roster with talent that way?
Yeah, I'm curious with the Lions. Did they have they had any big free agent signings through the years of that regime?
I'd have to look at right now the overview of contracts. I mean, the
I
biggest
think
one,
it's mostly been draft picks, and I think of their best players. Like you're right, Goff was the big trade.
yeah.
But it's mostly been they mostly drafted the guys
David
who were their best
Montgomery they
players.
signed, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But Jamison
Chicago.
Williams they drafted, yeah. Taylor Decker, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Reader was a free agent pickup, right?
Yes.
Penei Sewell, obviously. They
Yeah.
drafted Anzalone, the linebacker, who is a free agent. The Jets might be interested in if Quincy walks in the offseason. Yeah, I mean, Aleem McNeil. I mean,
Yeah.
all these guys are guys that they drafted.
So like they haven't really gone crazy in free agency, which is interesting.
Yeah.
That's the Glenn factor. Muji, I feel like the Broncos, where Muji's from, the Broncos have spent pretty handsomely in free agency.
Spent a lot in free agency this offseason. I thought they were going too far. Apparently not, was the New England Patriots. They were spending money all offseason. They brought in Diggs, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Carlton Davis. They were signing everybody, it felt like. But yeah, with that being said, I think with this conversation, the Jets need a system. And the system has to be able to know how to plug and play certain players. So as a fan, Kaz, I'm kind of, I guess, waiting for the system. Like, I'm all excited now with this offense being a system that I think we can build towards. Like, you want middle-of-the-field weapons, guys that can, utilize crossing routes, another slot receiver. So now that I'm kind of seeing a system on offense, I'm getting a little bit more excited as to what these picks can be. I think on the other end, other teams are going to look at players like Quinnen and say, they haven't used him well, or they're not stunting him enough, or they're not giving him enough help. Well, we do have a, quality edge, and bring him in, So I'm curious to see what happens with him. I'm so yin and yang with Quinnen, man. 1 week I love him, 1 week I'm like, this guy doesn't want to be here. He doesn't try hard, and get him off the team, kind of thing. Like
Try hard, Frankie.
Well, I'm saying it. Well, I'm not saying try hard. I mean in the sense of like get your pee hot. Like he played against some offensive lines that were beat up, some UDFAs where like there's no reason that he can't one snap just bull rush the heck out of one of these guys and put them on their ass and get to the quarterback. Like, not that he doesn't try hard, but what I mean is like just tap into it. Like become a maniac for a few snaps. And
Yeah.
I don't see him doing that like enough. Where
Look, I think the game we'll all think about with Quinnen was the Green Bay in 2022, right? That was the Quinnen game.
Yeah.
Quinnen took that game over. And you haven't seen that a lot of other times. So I understand that. I understand that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. I think defensive linemen, especially nose tackles like Quinnen and D tackles that play the one technique, he's getting double teamed every play. It's a grind. It stinks, man. I mean, it's a lot. You're getting guys trying to, you're getting guys to your legs. You're trying to stay healthy, upright. I mean, you don't even know where the ball is most of the time. Honestly, you're just fighting two dudes and trying to stay in your gap. Like, it's a grind. I think it could be getting stale here for him. Like, he might need a new jersey, a new division. Yeah.
Well, look.
Where's Carl Banks think?
I was just about to make a mark on that one, Kaz. Does he think he's being respected by opposing teams?
Maybe we need to ask Klecko what he thinks.
Oof. I do want to go to the next segment here called Surprise or Make Sense. And so basically what I'm going to ask you guys is a couple topics here about this Jets team, and I want you to tell me whether it's surprises you or it makes sense. The first one being the wide receiver room and the production they've had this season. Are you surprised at what they've done so far, or does it make sense the way they played thus far? I'll start with you guys.
I've been surprised at how well Garrett Wilson did when he was out there with because of all the attention he's getting, right? But yeah, the rest of it makes sense to me. It's exactly what we thought it was going to be.
Frankie?
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me. Utter sense. As much sense as possible. I do think, though, Tyler Johnson's been pretty good.
Okay, so, this is the Tyler Johnson episode. Let it be known here, everyone. All right, surprise or makes sense, Kaz. Lack of running the ball well and Breece Hall's usage thus far this season, excluding this past week.
Yeah, it's been surprising. I mean, I thought they were going to be able to really run the ball well. I would throw Justin Fields running the ball in here as well. Feels like they got away from that for a long time before Cincinnati. Made no sense to me. So yeah, that one's been surprising. I thought they were going to be, I think they're number 2 in rushing in the NFL. So the numbers have been good, but just watching game in and game out, it feels like they've gotten away from it at points.
Yeah, I agree. I'm surprised that Justin Fields has less than 300 rushing yards at this point. Some people predicted him he was going to get close to 1,000. Maybe I did in the preview show. I don't remember. But, yeah, I'm a little surprised. But I think now they're starting to kind of understand it a bit. And I do think that Justin Fields had some injuries. We know he had the concussion. He mentioned a leg injury. I think that maybe stopped Tanner from wanting to run that read option. You don't want to leave him out there to dry. We saw what TJ Watt did to him, right? So, yeah.
All right. My next one for surprise or make sense is the defense having a lack of pass rush. Surprise or make sense, guys?
I guess I'd be surprised at how bad it's been. I didn't think they were going to be incredible, but and Jermaine being out plays a role in this too. He hasn't played a lot, obviously. So, but yeah, I thought they'd be better pass rush wise. And it hasn't happened.
Frankie?
Kind of go on the other side of that. I think it makes sense for one reason. I did think there was a need at edge coming into the season. Not saying a quality edge like one of the top edges in football, but somebody that can give them better depth as a pass rusher. That'll help limit McDonald's snaps so he can come in on, let's say, 3rd and longs. And Jermaine coming off that Achilles just would give you more flexibility and more energy on the outside there. So I thought they neglected that coming into the season, and I think it makes sense that they're not able to really effectively get to the quarterback.
All right. Surprise or make sense, the defense's lack of turnovers. Kaz?
I mean, I wrote about this. I did a piece for Sunday, kind of like resetting the season. It's all categories, and one of the categories was like head scratcher. The fact that this team has 0 interceptions, I cannot wrap my brain around it. I can't, because like you watch football every week, and there's it's not all skill with interceptions. There's a tipped pass, and it falls into a guy's hands. They overthrow a ball, and it lands in a guy's between the numbers. There's desperation heave at the end of the first half, and the guy intercepts it. Like, we've seen dumb interceptions. right? If you watch football every week, you see dumb interceptions.
30% are dumb
luck.
interceptions, literally.
It's dumb luck, right? Like this isn't like some skill set you have to have, and they've got none. Like how do they have none? How like it's just inconceivable to me. It's inconceivable. And if you want to pile onto it, you're paying a lot of money for those two cornerbacks, and they have no interceptions. Like how the hell is that possible? It's just it boggles my mind, Ryan. But I can't figure it out. And like I gotta think, Aaron Glenn is putting his head through a wall over this.
Oh, you have to be. You have to be. Frankie, your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I would have been surprised if you told me at this point that a defensive lineman or a linebacker hasn't gotten an interception. That might have been a little surprising to me too. Like nobody on the team has. It's really wild to think about.
You know what? They really messed Brandon Eccles.
I never wanted to get rid of that guy, Kaz. I love that guy.
Brandon Eccles always had like 5 interceptions, and the rest of the team had 1 somehow. Yeah.
We turned on the game the other night, and you see the ball just fall into Bobby Wagner's lap. Like, and Bobby Wagner's been fantastic, by the way. I'm pretty close with Bobby for a little bit, and I was talking to him in the offseason a little bit, and I go, how do you constantly rank in the top 5 in tackles, and you always find a few interceptions, get some sacks? He goes, the instincts, man. Instincts are everything in ball. So, I mean, I don't know if these guys don't have instincts or they're just unlucky, though. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I can never put my finger on it.
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
All right. Surprise or make sense. Aaron Glenn struggles with time and game management. Kaz.
Makes sense. I mean, he's doing the job for the first time, right? So, I expected growing pains. Look, I mean, the end of the first half in London, no, like that was ridiculous. But I don't think it's been like that game was horrible. There's a few other instances, but I don't think it's been shocking. I think it's been made sense for a first time head coach.
Frankie?
The only reason it surprises me is because didn't he hire somebody that's responsible for
Yeah, so that like John Berger, they all have that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and that guy's in their ear and we don't know what they're saying, but like they go pretty much straight analytics and then the coach decides what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know. I thought his game management, the 2-point conversions in Cincinnati was really well played.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, I was saying this, Kaz, to Ryan on the post game. You know, we will critique every little last bit of everything in a loss. I'm like, do you see we're 30 minutes into this postgame? We've barely brought up the defense missing, 16 tackles or whatever, however many tackles they miss. Like, you don't bring it up in a win. It doesn't come up.
No,
yeah.
I mean, this week has been fascinating to watch the flip of like one win has created good vibes and everyone's like, oh, this is good. This is good. It's like, and it was like, it's like, it's crazy to me. It's like, so, and then if they lose to Cleveland, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Ryan,
I said this to Beningo one time and he hung up on me. I said, you go whichever way the wind blows, you go. I'm like, if they lose, they're the worst thing ever. If they win, they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, there's no in between. And he got mad and hung up on me. But yeah, I feel like that's a lot of fans. It's just.
Do you feel the same way about us?
You guys aren't quite as bad. There's more perspective here. Beningo, I mean, you guys didn't start with like, do you think they can, rattle off? I meet some great people on the road, some great Jets fans on the road, because I always laugh. I'm like, the only place I'm really famous is at the gate for the plane on a road trip, right? Like, because there's always really diehard Jets fans that travel to these games. So the guy came over and was talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, I don't know, like, can we rattle off like 9 in a row now?" And I'm like, no, you can't rattle off 9 in a row. You can't. Like, have you been watching?
Oh my!
Like, dude, like you might get, you might win 4, you might win 5. Like, that's my 5 wins is that's about as far as you're gonna go, brother. Like, so relax.
Kaz, we are hopeless creatures here as fans of this
You wouldn't come
franchise.
back if you weren't,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There was an account, Ryan and Kaz, it said, if you weren't with us when we were 1-7, don't be with us when we're 10-7. And like they were serious.
I know they're
like,
serious.
I think they were serious. Like they were defending it.
We're just
like,
desperate for a winner. Desperate for a winner.
Boy.
My last one for Surprise or Makes Sense, and that was a great story, guys, and I will tell you guys on the thing after this. Surprise or Makes Sense, Tanner Engstrand's play calling thus far.
I think makes sense. I don't think it's been. There have been a lot of games where I'm like going crazy on the play calling. Like we talked about, I think he's gotten away from the run sometimes, but again, right, most offensive coordinators do. They especially, and the scores have sometimes dictated that they get away. So, no, I think his play calling has been good overall, and I think it's made sense.
I'm only surprised that we don't have 400 yards every single game, guys. No, no, it makes sense. You guys know I'm a big fan of Tanner. And there were times, and Kaz, you had brought this up earlier in the season, and Rye would reiterate it to me, and you guys were right about this, that he didn't seem to feel out what was happening. He was sort of reading the plays off a script or off a book, versus kind of thinking a little bit and feeling out the situation. Yeah, I want to see how that progresses throughout the season. Starting to feel like he's getting it a little bit more, but time will tell with him. But it makes sense. I think he's running a lot of plays that they ran in Detroit, especially in key moments. That HB toss pass touchdown, that was a Lions. You posted it. That was a Lions play.
Well, Kaz hit up Engstrand after the game against the Bengals and goes, it's like ballsy call there on the Breece throw, and he goes, we've been working on that for weeks.
Yeah. You said that on your last show. Yeah. I heard that.
Yeah. And then
the Rucker play.
Someone pointed out. I'm sure you saw someone pointed out on Twitter the tight end pass.
Yep.
You
did.
Was that you, Rye?
Yeah. And nobody gave him credit for it.
It's okay. It's okay. I went back in the film and saw it in 2021. Look, I'm looking forward to seeing as you rack up surprise or make sense. I'm looking forward to seeing how this team progresses throughout the rest of the season. If they can take those incremental steps just to improve, Kaz, get better at game management, get better on 3rd and 4th down situations. Can this defense be more consistent and not disappear after having 2 strong games? So I'm just looking forward to seeing how all that goes forward. But I want to end on some fun stuff on trivia. But before I get to that, I got to mention here, last week, over-unders. That guy, Brian Costello, was 5-0, including picking Breece Hall anytime touchdown. So well done, sir. Well done.
And I got the win. And I picked the win.
And you picked the win. And you picked the win.
That's a flush.
It's a flush. It's a straight flush right there. So Kaz was perfect last week in over-unders. Frankie, you were 3-2. So on the season, Kaz is now 29-25. So he's 4 over 500.
All right.
So you'd be up 4 units. You'd be up 4 units if you stuck with Kaz all season long. Frankie, you're 24-30. You'd be down 6 units if you followed all Frankie's
Every week
bets.
I end up falling off, even if I have a win, a better
winning record.
What's
I know.
going on? What are you doing to me?
I'm not doing it. That's your picks. All right, Kaz, it's time for Stump Kaz.
Nice.
Jets have lost the last. Actually, I'm not going to give it to you. They've lost a lot of bye weeks, a lot of games after the bye week, I should say. Do you know by chance the record since 1990 for the New York Jets, their record after the bye week?
No. How the hell would I
Because
know that?
1990, I should mention, is when they introduced a mandatory bye week for every NFL team.
No, I've not studied the record after the bye week.
17.
I think they beat the Giants after the bye week a few years ago. I remember that.
You sure about that?
They beat the Tommy DeVito game. Wasn't that after the bye week?
I don't have that game after the bye week.
To be honest.
The last win I have for the Jets, they've lost 9 in a row, and they haven't won since 2015.
I thought check. I thought the bye week was before the Tommy DeVito game,
I
which
think
was 2023.
They had a long week, I think, before. Were they at London the week?
Oh, you're right. They beat them in overtime. I'm sorry, I missed that. I thought that was a loss against the Giants. Okay, so they're 1-8 in their last 9 games.
So you didn't totally stump Kaz this week. Again,
I didn't stump him. He stumped me.
He always gets you at the end.
That's Kaz right there at the end. Kaz, this was fun. Enjoy the bye week, sir. Enjoy Halloween. It's nice to have a week off in Halloween, in October, I should say, and not earlier in the season. So,
let me make a point about the bye week thing, though, Ryan.
Yeah,
if I can, right? Because Rich Cimini is also the king of these stats of like the Jets are the worst. The Jets are the worst team X. If you pretty much take anything over the last decade, 15 years,
I know.
the Jets are the worst team. So like the Jets record on Thursdays in October is the worst. Yeah, the Jets record in September, the Jets record in November, the Jets record in December, the Jets record when there's a full moon. Like most of them are the worst. Like they've been bad. They've had a terrible record. So I don't read too much into the bye week thing, Ryan, because I think that's coaching, right? Like so maybe they'll come out and play inspired against Cleveland.
Kaz, one quick thing. This made the headlines on social media. Everyone's up in arms about the tickets going up, the season tickets.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that? Some sections are not going up in the upper levels, some they are. I mean, inflation's inflation. I try to tell people they're probably going to go up a little every year. I'm not really sure what other teams do, but what say you on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with this, Frankie, because like
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I get an email from streaming services every day. Raise your price is going up, Hulu's going up, Netflix goes up. You go to a restaurant now and you can't get a meal for less than $30 at like a average restaurant, so everything's going up. That being said, the product has been terrible for the Jets, so I understand the frustration with it. But if you buy the tickets, they're going to keep raising the prices. Like if you don't buy the tickets, then maybe they won't raise the prices. I don't know. I mean, from my understanding, they didn't raise the prices in the upper bowl. They raised a lot of premium prices, and then I think part of the problem too was this season there was only 9 home games because of the game in London.
Yes.
Next year there's 10 home games, and I'm including the preseason.
Yep.
So the price automatically. The number on your invoice was automatically higher because of that extra game. So I think there was sticker shock when people opened the invoice. Was, oh my God, my price just jumped by this much. But there's an extra game next year, or I should there was probably more like there wasn't the game this year. So yeah, I understand the frustration, and like I give season ticket holders a lot of credit because I don't know how they do it. I just even if the team was good, I don't know if I could do it. Like the traffic, the stadium experience, the money you have to spend in the stadium, is very difficult. So yeah, I get the frustration, but I also I kind of like I do think the price is going to keep going up. That's just the way it is.
Certainly looks like it. Kaz, we appreciate you, brother. Enjoy the bye week. We'll catch you next week, man, and we'll preview a little Jets versus Browns. And see how
post deadline. We'll see what happens on the deadline.
That's true. We'll keep our eyes peeled for your coverage throughout the trade deadline as well. Thank you, Kaz, and we'll catch you next time. All right, buddy?
All right, guys.
Later.
See ya.